everybody. Welcome back to the Dr. Mike and Shannon Show. I'm Shannon Fanenstein, medical technology specialist with Uraval BRS, Mazan Medical, and we're here once again with Dr. Mike Bradley. Dr. Mike Bradley, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Dr. Mike Bradley. I'm Chief Medical Officer of Mazan Medical. I am a certified pelvic floor specialist, and I work out here in Las Vegas helping women with pelvic floor issues. Super excited to be talking about the bulbocavernosa reflex system, the Uraval, with you guys today.
And today I have something that's going to make all the women giggle out there. We briefly touched on it before we started hitting the record button on what I wanted to talk about, because this was something that was shared to me. So I am going to recap everybody, and we'll post a link on here. Click on the sucking vibrator funniest review. It is hilarious. But it also brings up a very good question, because we do talk about peeing and pooping, but we also talk about sexual function, sexual health, sexual dysfunction. And when you read this, not only will you be laughing, but you may be having some questions of your own. Like, women, some single, some not so single, have a tendency to have certain sex toys. And sometimes the sex toys don't do it anymore, or they think the battery's dying and it's really not dying, and they just need to pump it up, and they keep having to pump it up, and all of a sudden now they're having to find something stronger, apparently, like this person did. But what types of issues are women having, because they are now starting to what they call like go numb down there?
Yeah, it's funny. We have a lot of the women that come to me, they'll either tell me one of two things. They'll either tell me that it's like it's dead down there, I've got no libido, but really they have no sensational awareness in that particular area of the body, right? Or they tell me that they have horrible pain during intercourse and they don't want to even be touched by their guy. So it really goes to the two extremes, if you will. And when we're talking about bulbocavernosa reflex, we're talking about the nerves in that area, and we're talking about whether or not their sensitivity levels are appropriate and proper, or if they're completely dead, or even worse, they're spasming, causing all kinds of pain, and they're very weak, which causes, any kind of penetration causes this really, really difficult, painful situation for women. So women are always trying to find these angles, if you will, that don't hurt, right? They're always trying to find those angles. And really in a sexual situation, female sexual dysfunction, women are trying to find those angles to either, number one, just kind of finish the job with their partner,
Right.
they don't really want, they don't care about the orgasm. They just want to get it over with. So they're trying these different angles to make that happen. Or they're trying to find an angle that doesn't hurt so they can focus on the business at hand, where they can get to where they want to get to in the sexual relationship. So when I have women like this and I start talking with them about their nerves and about these conversations, the number of teary eyes that I get, and the sob stories that I get, I just got divorced. I'm pretty sure it's because I didn't want to have sex, but I didn't want to have sex because it hurt. Or I just lost the desire to do anything anymore, and I don't know what happened to me. Maybe I need hormones. I mean, all these kind of things go up. And the reality is it's possibly, and quite honestly, I would say more likely, that the problem is a neurological issue for females, no different than neurogenetic ED for men, erectile dysfunction for men. So we, up until having something like the bulbocavernosa reflex system, the Uraval, we never had a real way of being able to check that, to see if the nerves in that area, especially right after baby, were firing properly. And if they're not firing properly, big surprise, you kind of go into this grandiose search to try to get back to what you were before. Another really sad story is a woman who's, like, when she was very young, maybe had an injury. Maybe she fell on the roller skates, or she was an early gymnast that hurt herself and didn't realize. A lot of women have never had an orgasm. They don't know why all these women are so adamant about about sex because they don't have that desire. And the reality is it's because they were injured a long time ago and it was undiagnosed and they weren't aware that there was a nerve problem down there. Now,
Yeah, and we had that discussion with Debbie, not in our show, and at some point we'll bring her in, where she's actually diagnosed a 23-year-old college football player who, same situation. Now, so yes, men, football, sports injuries, but it can happen to women as well. And women don't think about something like that. But yeah, it can easily, and like you brought up, gymnastics, even soccer, we can hurt our backs. I was an avid soccer player growing up. A lot of different ways that we as women can hurt ourselves, and we may not think it was something that caused a lot of damage, but these injuries can cause more damage than we realize, and at a younger age.
it's funny how often our coaches tell us to walk it off, but we don't realize that sometimes those old injuries come back to haunt us a little bit, right? As young kids, we want to be tough and strong, and as we get older in life, we realize that maybe that wasn't the smartest of choice. Now, I say that in the fact that a lot of our physicians out there don't know how to fix it. And the reason a lot of them don't want to have the conversation is because they don't know the fix. Recently, we've had a lot of push with hormonal based therapies, right? Like, oh, your hormones are off, that's the problem. But we do that, and it is possible with menopause and things like that, that hormones could be playing a big role in some of these things. But it seems like we shy away from the neurological aspect, mainly because I think, number one, they don't have a way to test it. And we just talked about the bulbar cavernosa reflex being a way to be able to test the neurological response on both men and women. But then, okay, so what? You know that you've got nerve damage down there. How do I treat it? How do I fix it? And that's where we come into neurological stimulation therapies and some of the stuff that we've researched at the School of Medicine and have found have been incredibly successful in that particular element. So, if there are providers that want to reach out and understand more about that, or we can have another video that talks about that. But we really think that we found the holy grail when it comes to female sexual dysfunction and being able to fix those nerves to make them work properly. I always tell a lot of my women, it's like if I was holding a hot plate and I hand it to you, Shannon, and you hold the hot plate, and then we hand it to our patient, and the patient's like, oh, that doesn't feel hot at all. I don't feel anything. Mm-hmm. Or, oh my God, it's burning through my hands. It's so hot. It's the worst thing ever. The challenge there is that's that one part of it or the other extreme part of it. And if we're able to get the sensational awareness to be equal from me to you, Shannon, to that patient, and it's all the same, then our responses will be the same as they should be. And the response is what we're really looking for in female sexual function, the response. So that's kind of my take on why it's useful to use something like a bulbar cavernosa reflex very early on to determine if we're dealing with a neurological problem, and if we are, the direction to treat, especially when we're talking about sexual function.
And it's a great tool because even if that provider that you're seeing, primary care, internal medicine, OBGYN, even if they're not doing the actual treatment because you now are going to have to go to neurology, they now know that though. And it's a great tool to be able to have and to see, and you may not have the latency time. It may not be a, sacral nerve dysfunction, but now you've at least ruled that out to have another avenue. And it's such an easy way to be able to do it. It takes less than 5 minutes. You're able to do it in an office. You're able to get the results right there, and it's non-invasive. You're not having to tie up a room for 30 minutes to an hour. It's very quick. The results are right there. So it is something that as women, we should be able to have this and, the opportunity to have this done because our sexual health does matter. I mean, it does matter in our happiness. It matters for our health. I mean, there's so many different, sexual health. When you have poor sexual health, it leads to depression and other issues. So, being able to have these treatment options, it's just a very powerful tool.
And on a happier note, I really need to take a look at that article that you found, because that sounds, even the title sounds very interesting. I'm sure there's
She saw Jesus, she said. She saw Jesus. Jesus had to push her back to the light because Jesus was not ready for her.
it was a religious experience.
It was
That sex
a
toy.
religious outer body experience, and
Yes.
she said she was an atheist. So
Right. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, if a sex toy converts you, boy, that's one heck of a sex toy. I really think that, even if you don't like the Shannon and Mike show, everybody needs to click on that link and take a look at that article and share it with their friends.
it
Because
will give you a good laugh for the day because it was shared with me, and that's how we got into this discussion because of talking about that vibration level. So
it's all
but
about the levels.
yeah, and once again, we thank you very much. We hope we made you laugh today, but we also hope that we gave you some very good sound advice and things to think about. And we greatly appreciate you following us. Please hit the like, share, subscribe button. If you're a provider who would like more information, we have information down in our description, a link to be able to contact us, and we'd be more than happy to be able to share the Euroval BRS system with you. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.
Have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye-bye.